Isn't the celebration of love a lovely concept? We'll celebrate love this year in some sexy lingerie. I have here for you a tutorial that will show you how to make a baby doll dress from start to end. The process is very straightforward and you should be able to have it ready for February the 14th. For this tutorial, you will need several items as shown here. To draft the pattern, you will start off with your front and back bodice blocks. Firstly, take your front bodice and compass and open it to the length of your bust radius. Then with the compass centered on your bust point, draw a circle. Next, we will do some contouring on the bodice. Measure and mark the middle of your shoulder and draw a line from there to the bust point. On either side of that line, measure and mark 3/4 of an inch on the circle, then draw lines down from those marks to the bust point. At the points where the circle meets the dart legs, measure and mark on the circle 1/2 inch from each dart leg. Then from each of those points, draw a line to the bust point and to the end of the dart leg. Place the ruler on the bust point so that it meets the center front at 90 degrees and draw a line from the center front to the bust point. On the center front, measure and mark 3/8 of an inch from either side of the line and then draw lines from there to the bust point. Finish the neckline by drawing a line from the mark at the top of the circle to the side seam. On the new dart leg, measure down 1/2 inch and mark, then draw a line parallel to the waistline. Do the same on the other side. From the new line, on the center front, measure up 2.5 inches and mark. This is where the V neckline of the bodice will be drawn to. If you want it to be more revealing, mark on the center front a shorter measurement, or if you want it to be less revealing, mark a longer measurement. Draw a line from the topmost mark on the circle to your point on the center front. Smooth out any pointy bits with a French curve except for the center front piece. Cut out your pattern pieces. You should have a side piece and center front piece. Your center front piece still has a contouring guideline that needs to be closed up. Cut out the guideline wedge and close up the gap with some tape. Trace around your pattern pieces. Now you can smooth out the points on your center front piece and smooth out the neckline. Add your seam allowance except for on the neckline, waistline and center front. Don't forget to label your pattern pieces. On your back bodice, measure down 4 inches from the top of the center back, then square a line across. This is your horizontal balance line. From the middle of the waist dart, draw a line up to your horizontal balance line. Then from the intersecting points, draw down to both dart legs. Take your front side piece and measure and mark its length on the side back line. Draw a horizontal line perpendicular to the center back from that point and across from the top of the side seam. Cut out your back pieces. Remove the contouring wedge from the pattern and close up the gap with some tape. Remove 1/2 inch from the center back for the lace-up feature of the dress. Trace around your pattern piece and add your normal seam allowance at the side seam and 1 inch at the center back. Also, don't forget to smooth out your pointy bits and label. Cut out your final pattern pieces and then you are done. Now you can get started on putting together the dress. Fold both your lace and chiffon fabric. Place and pin your pattern pieces, making sure you place your center front piece on the fold. Cut out your pattern pieces. Pair each lace piece with its chiffon counterpart and then pin them together. At your machine, you will need to stitch them together with the basting stitch, which is the longest stitch on your machine. Use a narrow seam allowance. Once stitched together, each piece will look like this. Next, you will sew together your centre front and side front pieces. Pin them together and take to your sewing machine. Once done, it will look like this. I even overlocked my seams. Next, stitch your back pieces to the sides of the front bodice. Be careful not to mistake the centre back for the side seam. The bodice will then look like this. You are now going to add a lace trim to the bottom of your bodice. Take the lace and place it on the bottom of the bodice, overlapping them very narrowly. Pin into place. Take to your machine and following the shape of the trim, stitch into place. Measure the length of the centre back, including the lace trim. On a scrap piece of paper, take that length and draw a rectangle that's 1/2 inch wide, then cut it out. Fold your interfacing and cut out 2 pieces of the rectangle. The interfacing will be sewn onto both sides of the centre back. They will add strength and support to the lace back fastening. I used a wide zigzag stitch to attach the interfacing. Next, you will roll in the centre back twice and pin into place. Once you have done that for both sides, it should look like this. Now, we're going to add our lace trim to the top edges of the bodice. This part is a little confusing, so follow carefully. We're going to start by stitching our lace onto our bodice upside down. The top edge of the bodice will need to meet the bottom edge of where you want your lace to end. Then from the front of the bodice, you will stitch narrowly across. Any excess lace will then be trimmed. The lace trim will then be turned over and stitched into place. Pin your lace trim on upside down and stitch narrowly. Trim the excess lace. Then fold up and pin your lace trim in place. Take to the machine and stitch down narrowly. Your bodice will now look like this. Measure the full width of the bodice and then times the measurement by 2. Cut a rectangle from your chiffon with a width equal to that measurement, plus a little extra for seam allowance. The length should be however long you want the skirt to be. From the centre back of the skirt, measure across 2 inches and down 6 inches, and cut between them to create a slit. Pin and stitch the centre back together. Finish the raw edges of the slit like I have done here. You will now gather your skirt piece. Take it to your machine and sew a double row of stitches at the top using your longest machine stitch. To create your gather, carefully pull the end threads of one row. If that row breaks, pull the other. Once gathered, you will need to attach the bodice to the skirt. Overlap the bottom of the lace narrowly on top of the skirt and pin into place. Take to your machine and stitch down. Your dress will now start taking shape. Next, we're going to add the loops for the back laces. Cut out 10 2-inch long pieces of ribbon. Equally space out and pin down your loops. Then take to the machine and use a narrow zigzag stitch to secure them in place. Do 2 rows of stitching per loop. The centre back of your bodice will look like this. Last thing will be the straps. Cut 2 20-inch strap-ins and 2 5-inch strap-ins with 2 rings and 2 sliders. Loop both 5-inch strap-ins through a ring and secure with a pin. Stitch together the bottom of the strap-in. Then take your longer piece of strapping and put through the slider. Fold into itself and stitch down with your machine. Use a narrow zigzag stitch to secure. Once sewn, take the other end of the strapping and put through the ring with the shorter strapping. Pull through and take it up into the slider and out again. So take the end of the strapping, put it through the ring and slide it through the slider. And now you have 2 straps. To keep the straps secure on the dress, cut out 4 small pieces of interfacing. Place your straps at the apex of your neckline with some interfacing in between and stitch in place with 2 narrow zigzag stitches. Attach the straps to the back of the bodice and put some interfacing in between. Stitch down with 2 narrow zigzag stitches. If you haven't already, you can remove all your basting stitches from earlier on. With the straps sewn on, your bodice is basically finished, and all that's left now is to add the laces to the back and hem the bottom of the dress. Using a wider ribbon, thread a crisscross between the loops at the back. Don't forget to hem your dress and then you are done. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you found this easy. I wish you all a great Valentine's Day, and don't forget to subscribe. So until next time, bye!